Okay, just checking that everything looks good. Um, I think we look all right. I think the audio sounds good. Okay, great. Well, welcome back. This is what, day four? What, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Yeah, day four of streaming. Um, my name is Alvin Mix. I forget that I should probably do a little intro. Well, just a little intro. I kind of just jumped into it. So I need to do better with the intros and outros, but it's a process. Um, so welcome to the stream. My name is Alvin Makes Apps. Obviously, my name is Alvin, and I make apps. Um, and uh, I am a software engineer. I've been making apps for almost a decade now, professionally for different companies, as a consultant, as a regular employee. Um, so yeah, and like really the purpose, the goal of my stream is to bring the wonders of coding, making apps, having an app be your own business. Now with all these AI tools, it's more accessible than ever to actually build something that's like even if you don't want it to be the next Amazon or Netflix, but even if it's just like something to help you out in your life or your family or something like that, if you have an idea, you can build it. And at the heart, I am a builder. I like building stuff. And I think a lot of people do as well, but they just don't know how to do it with software. So that's really the goal. Is anyone who's out there who's a builder, this is just a place for you to come in, ask questions, learn something new, try to decipher what's misinformation versus real stuff, because I've actually built software, I guess now the old way, now the new way is with AI. But I've been building software the manual way for years and years. So yeah, so that's a little bit about me. I have, I guess, like a little bit about my background is, I went to school, I went to college, got a computer science degree, taught myself how to make apps because I mean, at school they teach you how to code and to solve problems with computers and software, but they didn't really teach me how to make apps. So I bought a bunch of books, and taught myself, and then, grinded to get a job. I worked at a coffee shop before I was an engineer. So there was a lot of times where I would finish working at the coffee shop at like 6, 7 p.m., go to the bathroom, change, try to Axe body spray the coffee smell off, do my hair. My boss will yell at me and be like, "Oh, this is not a barber shop. This is not a salon. Why is there hair in my bathroom?" So there's a lot of that. And then, I would just go to networking events. And then eventually I landed a job, and, the rest is history. But enough of that. We're going to do a quick recap. And I think we're going to do some reacts to what the conversation is right now around like vibe coding. I'll explain what that means and like all these AI tools, and just see like what's like coming up on the top of people's feeds. So to help you like disambiguate like what's real and what's not, what's hyperbole, exaggeration and whatnot. So I like doing a little review at the beginning of these. So for people who miss the other lives and don't want to catch up, just I've used this whiteboard to just like put all the little snippets and things in here. And then, so I'm just going to go over this and then we could hop over. So we started in our first live talking about some inspiration, because again, people think like you have to be some brainiac to, build a piece of software. But now is definitely not the case with these AI tools. So we talked about this dad of 4 children and 2 daughters who built an app to help him figure out among his daughters whose shirt, with when it comes to laundry, whose shirt belongs to who. So the computer, the AI saw the shirt, scanned it, saved it, and when he brought up the shirt again, it's like, oh, this is Samantha's shirt or whatever, or Monica's. And yeah, and he was a school principal, no coding experience. He did it in an hour. So we talked about that. We talked about the different tools, and the difference between them. We talked about like what are like the big categories of like stuff that you can build. You could build it for your personal use, or for business, or for startup, or something to augment your business, and then uh, or if you want to do a startup where like the software is the business, like you're making an app, and like that app is solving some problem. And these two last cases, the stuff that I specialize on, I feel like with personal use, you could just figure it out. But if you're trying to help augment your business, or the business is the software, like you want to know what you're doing. So then we talked about so kind of digging into the third one, how do you know that your startup idea, stands on all four legs? And the four legs we talked about in terms of like a house. With a house, you need to know if you're building a house that you're trying to sell to other people, not just a house for yourself, but if you're trying to sell it to other people, is it a house that someone needs? Is the layout something that people are familiar with? Can you make money off of that house? And can you actually build that house? And then we kind of had the synonyms for in an app, like making sure an app solves a problem, that it is value, people can figure it out, that it can make money, that you could actually build it. It's not a time machine. So we talked about like some terms and some examples of that. And I think that was in our last live. We did this whole house and that example. And then, or I think it was the live before that. I think the last live we did, we actually did a demo. Like we just picked one of these tools that we talked about at the beginning. And we just tried to build something to see how far you could get with how little. So we built this, one of I had people come up to me being like, hey, I'm a barber, or, I run a salon, and, these tools, like there's too many, they're charged too much. Like I want to have my own thing. So I was like, okay, let's just try to have a booking platform. So I kind of went in here, I created a free account, and I kind of I just used a microphone and just talked to the AI on what I want. We used plan mode, which is like the key thing. So after you talk to it, it doesn't go straight into executing. It asks you some follow-up questions to clear up some ambiguities, and then it writes you out a plan. You could edit it, and then once you approve it, it just starts building. And then this is what it built. And again, like I am not, I build apps, but I'm not like creative. So like the colors and the fonts, like I would just be black and white times New Roman. It would literally look like an essay, because I'm not really good with that stuff. So it's, I picked some good defaults, and it asked us like, hey, here's the colors and the fonts I would use. None of it made sense to me, but we just let it rock to see what it actually looked like. But all of this is editable. So we kind of just did a quick demo. We didn't really build it all the way so then you could actually see it online. But just to again break the idea in your mind that like it's using these tools are like super involved. I didn't have to download anything. I didn't have to set up my computer or anything. The onboarding was like really quick, and we really just talked to the AI, and it just spat out a website for us. So I'm gonna take, because I didn't do this last time, I'm gonna take this and put it over here, just to say what we did last time. So a few things. Booking site demo using Lovable. So that's the tool that we used, lovable.com. So again, you could just go on there, make a free account, build something. They don't charge you anything. You just have to make a free account. And the key things with this is plan. And you would be so surprised, like even with the engineers that I work with, like a lot of people complain is like, hey, yeah, I wanted this thing to build this big crazy thing, and I just gave it 2 3 sentences and it built the wrong thing. And it's like, well, even if you told me 2 or 3 sentences and you just told me just to build you something, I'll probably build it wrong. Or maybe not wrong, maybe I make guesses that make sense but is not what you want. But since you just told me to build the thing with very little information, I mean, you're gonna get what you get. So a lot of these tools have a plan mode. So we could put this like under tips. Let's make this a little bit bigger. And so yeah, so the first tip is plan before you execute. I feel like that's just like a life lesson. That is just a life lesson. Is whenever you, even if you're building a house, you want to plan out the house before you start buying wood. You don't want to, so that's the same thing with the tool. So plan before you execute. Another tip is use the microphone and speak naturally to make a first pass at your prompt. So I'm not a great writer. I mean, I write code, and then I'm gonna put this first because this is what we did first. Or actually, no, because I put it in plan mode before I did anything. I'm really lazy when it comes to typing. So using the microphone was like easy for me. I could just say what I felt, rambled, use ums a lot. I think even you could even see and hear like there's a lot of uhs, and because I do a lot. I also do say like a lot too. So that was something I was looking at when I was editing. It's a lot of uhs, but then it figures it out. It really figures it out. It kind of reads between the lines to try to get to what you're trying to mean. So yeah, anything else? There was one thing, it did use like some jargon that if you were like brand new to making software, it will not make sense to you. And like it was using words like back end, super base, off. So I would say like with any jargon, Google, if you see a bunch of terms that you don't understand, Google it or ask the AI to explain. I wonder if we can peek at the plan. If we can peek at the plan, can we peek at the plan? Oh, maybe it was this one. Oh yeah, so this is the plan that it generated after we kind of yapped at it for a little bit. And you can see down here, there's like backend, Supabase, database, auth, Stripe. There's like all these like different things. Again, you could always come into this live and ask your questions, and I'll answer them for you for free. And I won't get bothered by it. But you should just Google it or use AI to explain. Or I mean, you could just let it rock and see what it generates. Again, it's free. Up to a certain point, so you could just see what it generates. But again, this is where like an AI tool in my hands, where like I understand all these terms, I might get a better output trying to build the same thing as somebody who is not familiar with these terms. That doesn't mean that if you're not familiar with these terms to not even bother, but like you got to learn like a little bit of stuff. You can't just close your eyes and build a website. You might have to learn like a couple things outside of just learning how to use the tool. And that's really it. I mean, we could continue to build this out maybe on a later date, or like edit it, because some of these buttons don't work, right? So if we go over here, I mean, this calendar also works. It's pretty cool. And this is like you trying to book a haircut. I just put in like, just random stuff. The credit card stuff, we said for the credit card to use Stripe, which is like a credit card processing company, but we haven't integrated that yet or hooked it together. So yeah, what was it? I think it was like one of these. Yeah, some of these buttons don't work, so we would have to like go in and get this to update. I think it ran out of tokens, and I think I mentioned in a previous live that if you tell it to build your like Facebook or something, it probably only do like maybe the more important things, and then leave other things to be implemented later, just so it doesn't eat up all your money if you're paying for it, or if you have a free account, like you get like credits and stuff. So it'll like show you something, which is nice. Like it'll show you something, and then you could correct it before it builds the whole thing, and then you can't use it for a while, or you have to pay more and stuff like that. So it's pretty smart. So that's what we went over. I think today, and to be completely honest, my side, I don't know what it is. I just turned 33, and um, one day this week, like I just woke up, and my whole side was just like twisted up. Like I just got kicked in the side of my body. So every time I move, it hurts a little bit. So I don't know if I want to continue the demo or do like another lecture type thing. So we're just gonna do some reacts, and I think it would also be good, like now knowing some like good information, um, to just see like what other people are saying about like these AI tools, and then I could like elaborate a little bit on certain things. So I do have YouTube open. Maybe we'll watch some shorts, and then we also have Instagram, and then there's like all of these different videos. So we could try watching some of them, and then yeah, see, do a little vibe check to the vibe coding craze, little vibe check. So we could click on this.
I've built 15 projects in 3 months without writing a single line of code. And here's my optimized vibe coding process. First, I brainstorm with ChatGPT or Claude, and I write a solid PRD. A good PRD.
So this is kind of going back to this first tip, is plan. So I said that with Claude, which is different from Claude Code, and I guess I could elaborate this a little bit more, is there's like all these chatbots that you could talk to. So ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, all of these different chatbots where you could talk to it. You could, help you with a business plan or something like that. They can't actually code, but they can help you plan the code. So a PRD, you could kind of think of, it's called a product requirements document. And this is why I like to watch these videos and clarify them a little bit, because I feel like, I think I've seen this video before, and she kind of just skips over the PRD, which is like, I think like 80 to 90% of the work. It's kind of like the blueprint of the house. Is like, you don't want to skip or cut corners on the blueprint and then just go straight to building the house, because let's say you miss something in the blueprint, and then now the house is halfway built, and then you realize you can't even build the house. Like you could kind of think of it as like an app blueprint, like the equivalent to like an actual blueprint for a house. So she uses ChatGPT or Claude, or you could use like other tools to essentially come out with like the outline of what your app should do, which I think is good. It's a good step.
Saves you so much time later. Trust me, okay? Then I collect visual references.
And it does save you time. And again, like even engineers that I work with, like they'll just not plan. You don't even have to do a full PRD, but at least with what we did yesterday, is we said what we wanted to say, and then it came out with a plan of what it's trying to build, and we approved that plan. That document, you could say, is like a PRD. It doesn't have to be like pages and pages. The more complicated your idea is, then yeah, it should be longer. But we were I don't know. I like to. It's. I think having something in your hands worth more. Like you understand like what it is more than just seeing it in text. Let's just. So I wanted to just have something short, build it, see what it looks like, and then we could plan again about the next steps. But it does save you so much time.
And prep my assets in Figma. Then I
So Figma is a design tool. So if you know where you can figure out your images and your colors. So she sets up her images and stuff using Figma, which is cool. You don't have to do that. I think even like these AI tools could probably help you with the images, but it's a good step.
feed everything into my vibe coding tools. For complex projects, I usually use Claude Code. For simple things that I want to shift,
Which is something that we talked about, which is also was mentioned in that article. Cloud Code is something that a lot of people are using. It's a little bit more involved. Like I think you have to like download it and set it up. I think there is like a web version that is kind of like lovable. But yeah, I would try the different tools because again, you can probably create a free account on all of them and just and try them out. They're all a little bit different.
fast, I use Figma Make. Then I
Figma Make is Figma's. So the Figma is the company, and Figma is the company, and then also the tool. So Figma Make is like their AI. I don't know if it actually builds any apps. Oh no, I think it does. It does do like actual code from like the designs, but again, I feel like that's like something that's a little bit more advanced.
iterate. It means
That is also a good tip. You plan, you execute, and then iterate. Iterating meaning, you tweak this, you tweak that, maybe you come out with version 2.0, like, and you just keep tweaking and going.
more prompts, more testings. And I'm a designer, so it has to be
So that makes sense of why she uses Figma and Figma Make because she's a designer. So then that's something she's probably already using Figma to create the design. So you could imagine as like an interior designer, or yeah, interior decorator, and then they're handing it off to someone to actually put together the rooms and stuff. Which is why I think it makes sense. So I mean, if you're not a designer, I would not, or yeah, I would not use Figma or Figma Make. You could if you're like a graphics designer, you're very a visual person, and you want to drag and drop like the actual buttons and do it that way, and then click a button and have it generate an app from that. Maybe that might be better. I feel like for most people, it's gonna be like text, so like a PRD, or you put the thing in plan mode. Because I don't know, I tried to use Figma and it's a lot. It's a lot.
be pixel perfect. When a project needs a database, I use database and
So a database is just like a place to store things. So if you need to store like user information, like bookings or people's names and emails, like you have to store it somewhere. So it's a database, and Supabase is like a popular database.
I deploy it with Vercel when
I feel like I'm pausing a lot, but there's just like a lot of, especially if you're all new to this, like there's just like a lot of like terms that are just thrown in there. So deploying is kind of like publishing an article that everyone can see. If you want everyone to see your website, you need to deploy it, which is the word, but you could just switch out. And I think even here in Lovable, like the word that the publish is essentially deploy. I would imagine. I haven't clicked the button yet, but you have to, after you're done making it, you have to publish it to have everyone see it. So Vercel is a company that kind of handles that for you.
it is ready. Steal this workflow and stop booting. Have fun. Yay. I've built 15 projects.
So no, this is like a good workflow. I mean, it's kind of advanced. Again, like with Lovable, like I don't know why I guess like I would want to know. I mean, it's a short video, so I would wonder why she picked the tools that she did, as opposed to saying like it's like someone's like a fitness influencer and they have like, oh, this is my workout and my diet, and but they don't explain like why are you doing this workout, like this exercise versus that exercise. Like there's not like a lot of explanation, because again, it might not work for you. Again, Figma is like a lot. It can, unless you're already a designer and you're used to using it. I like these other tools like Lovable or something because it's just all packaged together. Like again, it's not like I'm not sponsored or anything, but we literally just talked to it for a little bit, generated a little plan, and then we have like something that we could actually work with, and it took like 10 minutes. I feel like if you have to figure out Figma or Claude Code and stuff like that, it would just take a lot longer. And maybe this is like something, I wonder what she first started out with. I wonder if she did use one of these like Lovable type of tools and then progress to that one, but because this feels like a mid-tier, like maybe after her first 2 or 3 projects, maybe the rest of these projects were like kind of leveled up to where she was doing this. But that wasn't bad. Maybe not for everyone, but it wasn't bad. Let's see. Let's click this.
I cannot play any instruments, but I can code. So let's make music with code. Let's start with some piano notes. C3, E3, G3, B3, and set the room reverb and gain. I also want it to auto-resolve, so let's add more notes here. Now we can put everything in a stack so they can play simultaneously. I think this will add a little bit of kick drum. Now I want a more dreamy feel, so I can add hi-hats with a sparse, offbeat rhythm. This will feel more glitchy with gain 0.3 and a
I don't know. That wasn't vibe coding. I want to see some vibe coding. I did do a react to this video already. I should post it, but let's do this one.
Vibe coding has completely fixed my imposter syndrome. Not because I'm a vibe coder, but the opposite. I used to be like, yeah, I'm a software engineer, but I can't really ever remember when the memory gets allocated to the heap versus the stack. Now I have guys in sales DMing me a link to localhost 3000, asking me why they're getting a null pointer exception in their JavaScript code, which is a language that doesn't even have pointers. Where the f did you find a pointer, Steve? And the worst thing is, these guys don't even...
So yeah, that is like something... It's not quite happening. Oh no, it did happen at my job. Yeah, someone who's like not a coder just tried to push up some code, and then one of the other engineers was like, "No, this is like not good at all." So yeah, that's like, I still think it's an overall benefit to have like people who are not, they're in sales or in marketing or some type of business try to put up code. But I think other engineers have to put up more guardrails. Is like, I want everyone to go bowling, but I think some people need the little bumpers on the side when they go bowling. They just need the bumpers. And I think it's up to the engineers to put up the little bumpers on the bowling. Otherwise, we'll get like things like this, and it's like more work. Because it's already more work, like if other engineers are using AI coding tools to generate a bunch of code, and now we have more stuff to review. Now on top of that, we have like, Sarah and HR just trying to push up to, publish some code. And it's like a bunch of slop. So, but I have seen Cloud Code and some of these other tools in good hands. It's like a paintbrush. Like, you put a paintbrush in the hands of a painter, you're going to get some really cool stuff. But if you put it in my hands, because I am not a painter, you're going to get some really rough stuff. I did do, a paint and sip before, and I did more sipping than painting for sure.
Even have imposter syndrome. And listen, I wouldn't wish imposter syndrome on anyone. But if you're actually an imposter, it's not a syndrome. And yes, you can call yourself a vibe coder if you want. But the other day, I was sitting next to this guy on the plane, and he asked me, oh, what do you do for work? You're a software engineer? Me too. But when the plane went up and we lost Wi-Fi and the man couldn't ask ChatGPT to fix his code anymore, he tried to fix it himself by inserting a semicolon into the middle of a line of code. And I'm watching him run it over and over and get the same error every time, so I lean over and go, you gotta get rid of the semicolon. And he says to me, oh, it might seem silly for beginners, but actually in coding, you always have to have a semicolon. He was coding in Python. Vibe coding has completely fixed my...
Yeah, for people who are, if there's any other coder people, that's pretty funny. I will speak something about imposter syndrome. Excuse me, I'm gonna get some water. I will speak about something about imposter syndrome because I've had imposter syndrome and survivor's guilt this is kind of like very, this is kind of going into more personal stuff than vibe coding, but really at the beginning of my career, I had a lot of imposter syndrome, even though arguably I worked really hard to get to where I was, to just to get a job in coding. Like I literally read a bunch of books, taught myself, went to networking events, talked to people who were like senior engineers. They were impressed. They referred me to like their internship program, interviewed for the internship program, got it, did the whole internship program where you're not guaranteed a job. It's your job to lose. So I earned that job and then got the full position, and then, I worked. But even during all that, I always felt like, oh, I'm not good enough. Like I shouldn't be here. It was kind of weird because I also had survivor's guilt because, I grew up in a community like, I mean, they weren't giving, doing you no favors. So I saw like a lot of my friends who were, me in my mind, like smarter than me. At least that's what it felt like. And then they weren't, getting the opportunities that I had, doing software. So I always had like a feeling, I guess it was only until recently where I'm like, no, I'm actually good at my job. Okay. And there's like a lot of people who, not to say that they're bad, but I guess like, they didn't have to work as hard to get to where they were. Just like, everyone has their own life. But there was definitely people who were smarter than me, 100%. I say to myself, because I work out a lot, and it's like, there's an expression of, there's always a bigger guy in the gym. And then in my mind, I'm like, there's always a bigger nerd somewhere in the company or in the community. So, you gotta always humble yourself. Okay, let's see. Vibe coding my first app. Let's do, for engagement, let's do something with a higher.
My problem with vibe coding is that when Claude Code is generating, it's too easy to grab my phone and lose focus. So I wrote a script that automatically opens TikTok, Instagram Reels,
Jeez.
YouTube Shorts, and Twitter while Claude's working, and closes them the instant it finishes, ensuring that my eyes stay glued to the screen and that I'm ready to send the next prompt with zero lag. My problem with
funny. Now, I feel like I have so many coworkers that will be so mad at this. There's also some business person like yelling, be like, "This is why we don't do remote work." I mean, it's funny because this is, my job where we're doing a lot more AI stuff. But this is really what is this is the new end game. Like this is going to be engineering, and it's kind of silly. But yeah, this is Claude Code. So you can see that Claude Code, I think this is like the web version of Claude Code, or it might be, there's Xcode, which is what you use to make apps. Oh, and this might be Cursor as well. But yeah, it's kind of funny. I mean, I do look on my phone a little bit. I try to like keep an eye on what it's doing in case it does go off the rails, because sometimes it does, especially now in this early stage where we're trying to figure it out. It does go off the rails sometimes, but that's funny. What else do we got? I feel like I've seen this video like 3 times. 1, 2, am I crazy? 3? How does this come up? How do you hack the algorithm like this? I want to know. What's your secret, girl? Now I feel like I have to click it. Okay, so Claude is. So this is so much in so many different terms, so many different companies that are doing stuff. So Cursor is like another coding tool. I don't know if I want to go down the AI rabbit hole, but this is just, let's just say this is some AI tool. There's just a lot of, because I haven't talked about what LLMs are, and these different tools, and it's just very complex, especially starting out. Like, you don't worry about it. So she uses some AI tool to find her app logic, and but it doesn't seem like this is not in Cursor. This is in Terminal, which is like another program. So I don't know. This seems kind of sus to build one small feature I don't test it and commit. That's a good tip. You know, you build a little thing. Like, right, we built like a little bit, and then, you know, we build a little bit more and build a little bit more. Committing is like a whole other thing. Don't fight stuck Claude. Yeah, sometimes these AIs just be getting like dementia or something. So yeah, if it starts doing that, if they start doing some goofy things, just start over. Yeah, I would say, you know, speak, don't type. I feel like people naturally will talk more than they type, and like the more information an AI has to like go off of, the better chance you have of it doing the right thing. I don't even think you need to use some other app. Like, a lot of these have like a little, like, right, with Lovable yesterday, we just had a little microphone and we just clicked it and it just did the right thing. I don't know if you need a fancy thing. Yeah, I don't know. This doesn't really give you a lot. I'm gonna give this a solid 3 out of 10. Didn't really. It'd be one thing if it's high level, but she uses like deep jargony things, and I don't know. It didn't really give you a lot. I just wonder how I showed up 3 times in this little scrolly view thing. Okay. I feel like I want some. Because I feel like this is just gonna be a meme. We'll do one more, and then maybe we'll switch to YouTube. Oh, this girl came up. This girl came up again. Wait, am I gonna get this same treatment? Man. Oh, I guess this just repeats. That's crazy. Yeah, this is all repeating. Just shuffled together. I guess there's not that many vibe coding. I think I've seen this before.
People are saying you can build anything with vibe coding.
What they're not saying is that it's going to take you 3 days to debug something you vibe coded in an hour.
Like bugs, I don't even know. It's actually funny. There was this one client that we had. He was like a business guy, and he asked us directly, "What's a bug?" Like, "Oh, it's like an error in the code." Like, well, why are you putting errors in the code? Just stop doing that. Why are we paying you to fix something that you wrote? I'm like, well, on one hand, that's true. I mean, you got me there. You do have me there. But it's like, you know, having like a typo in an essay. Like, you know, sometimes you don't realize it. So again, like with like people who don't know coding, like if the AI tool like makes a mistake and it itself can't correct it, and you have to go in and try to figure it out, that's like really the hardest part. Where like, I mean, someone like me, I could, if it messes up, like I could try to figure it out or help it unstuck itself, like maybe give it some more information to figure it out. But if you just don't know, then it's pretty rough. So yeah, I agree with the statement. Yeah, sometimes like, especially starting out, like you might spend a long time, especially if you're just starting out.
But these 4 steps come together to make the ultimate process to vibe code with as little errors as possible.
First, make a very clear product requirement.
See, products requirement document coming up again, super important. And again, this is just a measure twice before you cut. That's really, it's the same thing. It's just plan everything out. I would rather err on over planning on something and maybe putting in details that maybe the AI would probably guess at. Would do the right guess with, but you know, just having everything spelled out, even for just your own like clarity, to make sure you have the plot of like what you're trying to do.
Document, and that's just a document that details everything that the product should do.
I do want to come out with a template, because in both of the videos they mention like, oh hey, use this product requirements document, but how do you format one? Like, what are the sections? What are the chapters? So I do want to come out with like an example that I'll probably just make it for free, just so people can fill it out, put it into the AI, and maybe get something good out of it.
I like to spew everything that I want the application to have into ChatGPT
I see, same thing. Speaking to it is probably way easier than typing it all out.
voice mode, and then have it organized.
And she used ChatGPT, which again, like ChatGPT might help you with the document for the requirements that you could pass to some coding tool, but it itself can't write the code. So, but you could use ChatGPT. You could also just do it like we did with like Lovable and stuff, or Cloud Code, or a lot of these AI tools have like a plan mode where you can essentially speak to it just like what we did, and it'll come out with a plan. It might not be as detailed. Maybe you could give it a format. But this is good too.
Organize that into a comprehensive document.
And remember to take time to review that document yourself too.
2. You
Definitely review before you send it, unless you're just okay with like wasting time and money. I mean, that's on you.
need an app flow document. This explains how a mover is going to move through your app from the very start.
I missed this. How do you go back?
People are saying you can build anything with vibe coding.
What they're not saying is that it's going to take you 3 days to debug something you vibe coded in an hour.
But these 4 steps come together to make the ultimate process to vibe code with as little errors as possible.
First, make a very clear product requirement document, and that's just a document that details everything that the product should do.
I like to spew everything that I want the application to have into ChatGPT voice mode, and then have it organize that into a comprehensive document.
And remember to take time to review that document yourself too.
2. You need
An app flow document. Okay, so that makes sense. So, the product requirement document, it could say like, hey, here's what we're building, why we're building it, who we're building it for. Here's the features that we should have, and whatnot. But the app flow document will literally kind of help the AI knows like, okay, we're going to have the login screen and then onboarding, and then we're going to have our home screen, like dashboard, whatever. And then there's going to be this there's going to be a bunch of different tabs, or like, it'll tell you like how the user should flow. This is where settings should be. This is how the user should flow through the app, which I think would be good. I feel like that should just go into the product requirement document, but maybe they're just like making it separate, just to separate like, okay, here are the features and here's how the whole thing should flow.
Need an app flow document. This explains how a mover is going to move through your app from the very start to the very end. Every little thing that they do throughout the process.
You can start off by just hand drawing a flowchart and then turning that into a more comprehensive document.
Yeah, you could. You could also most likely, because a lot of these tools are really good at just creating diagrams. Like there's like ways to create diagrams from text. So you could just talk to one of these coding tools or maybe ChatGPT and be like, hey, create me a diagram that, goes from this screen, this screen, this screen, this screen, and then it'll like create something for you.
You can also use Lucidchart to make this flowchart digitally.
Lucidchart is good. I don't think it's like really that complicated, but I don't know. I feel like I'd rather just use like one tool, at least at the beginning, to help you do everything. And then maybe you have like different tasks that like one tool can make, which is why I emphasize like, you could probably use like the coding tool, like Lovable, to maybe create and maybe we could try that one day, like create a diagram.
3, now we get into the design, and you want to be super clear on what you want your application to look like. And you can have just one design doc for this that includes front-end guidelines along with reference photos.
So front end, and I think we mentioned this in the last time too, like usually when you're making like a website or just like any app in general, there's the front end, which is like the app or the website that you actually see, and then the back end that has like all the stuff stored. So, you could, if you care really what it looks like, then yeah, I would do this step. But I didn't really care, and like this app came out fine. It just told us like, hey, we're gonna use these colors and these fonts. I'm like, sure. So if you're designing something big, I've been using the Facebook for Dogs example. If you're doing something like, okay, it has to look this sort of way, then yeah, I would do a doc. But I don't know. I would just, if you have an opinion, like you could always throw it in. But again, like I feel like that should just be in your product requirements doc as opposed to a separate doc. But maybe they just wanted to break it down a little bit more.
I always like.
And reference photos is good. I mean, but there's also just existing templates. Like we saw with Lovable, there was like existing templates for like landing pages or something like that. I think there's like a website called Dribble. Because documents is great and all. So yeah, so there's like a bunch of design stuff here. Like animations, branding, illustration, mobile stuff, typography, which is just like fonts, web design. So you could always just find something in here and then just throw it into whatever tool. And, you know, do it that way. And I think it's always better to have like, here's an example website. Even if there's like a website that you want to kind of copy and make it, maybe tweak it, you could literally, I think, just put the URL and it'll just scan the website. And it's just better to have actual examples as opposed to text. Because again, excuse me, as great as it is that you can talk to it, there's just always ambiguity in the English language when you just have like, you know, people say a picture's worth 1,000 words. So if you have a picture as opposed to just like a bunch of words, it's always gonna go better.
To start off by actually hand drawing my vision for the.
I can't draw, so this is already a non-starter. I can't draw for the life of me. At best you can get is like a stick figure, and even then, like the lines are gonna be a little crooked, and the head is gonna be a little dented. So if you can hand draw it, go for it, scan it, upload it. But for me, I'm probably going on Dribble, getting an example, or just letting it rock, and like letting the AI just like make something up.
Design. You can also use Mobin to get some design.
Oh, I never heard of this one. Mobbing. No, we're doing Mobin. What are we doing? What are we looking at? Oh, I guess you have to join. Airbnb and stuff uses this. Okay, so like maybe this is like a okay, so we maybe this is like another Dribble, like where you can get, you know, some like visual examples, which is fine. I think this is, for me, is better than hand drawing.
Inspiration, or digitally create or tweak your designs with Figma.
So Figma, again, is like that design tool. So if you don't want to use a template, if you don't want to use an example, and you just want to create it yourself, like the designs of what it will actually look like, all the buttons and you know, the text and all that stuff, you could go on Figma and have a blast. But starting out, you're probably better off just using a template.
Then you can use Behance to get full design docs.
What is Behance? I saw this video before, but I never saved any of these. Be the world's oh, so someone, oh, this is like a freelancing website? Oh, okay. It's like Fiverr or something. Fashion. Oh, this is like for creatives. Oh, okay. So it's like freelance website for creatives
that you can feed into your coding agent.
Now the fourth step is arguably the most important.
This is your backend document. It should have.
I don't know why they break it down this way. I feel like this should just all be one big doc, but maybe, again, like maybe it's easier to separate it out. But again, like, I feel like front end and back end, like, is like the basic anatomy when you're just trying to build something. But yeah, the back end is like where all your stuff is stored. So like all the interesting things like booking an appointment, like once you click that button, it goes from like what you see to some back ends where it stores that. So then I could pull it down on my phone and see that booking. So that's like a key thing. So yeah, you should have an idea of what that looks like. Again, like if you're just starting out or you're just doing like a prototype, or you're just building something yourself, you could just like have the AI just do its best guess, unless it's like super complicated.
I have two sections.
First, your tech stack. What tools and frameworks should be used?
Yeah, there's just so much. A lot of these AIs they they just pick this for you. So I wouldn't really stress it too much unless you have like something very specific. I feel like a general, what are they even mentioning in here? Yeah, like all these are pretty standard anyways. Like a lot of these, you'd probably use the same stack over and over again, which is just like the bag of technologies you want to use. Yeah, I'm just reading this. And like a lot of these, it's just even more jargon. I wouldn't really worry about this, but
in your application.
And then you wrap it up with your backend structure. What is your database schema?
oh, yeah. Unless you took a database course like I did in college, I wouldn't really worry about it. I would worry. I'm not even gonna explain database schema, but like I guess like one thing to think about is, let's say for our booking website is what's like the information that you would want to know. Like let's say I am the barber. Like what information do I want to know about that booking for that person? Or like what information from that person do I want? And then you could just tell the AI like, hey, this is like the information. And I think they even asked us in the plan of like what it would store. Like what would it store? This was like very short. It's crazy that they split this into 4 different documents, but I thought this mentioned like what it would store. There's Clearwrite cards, calendar. I guess it didn't. And it does mention, so this is kind of like the schema, but again, I wouldn't really worry about that starting out. Like it's kind of like overload. And it's just funny because then they skip over this. Like it's supposed to be like very high level, but I feel like if you understand all of these words, you're probably already in a good space. And like maybe this video is not really like great for you. Unless like maybe there's like a key, maybe I like, I'm an engineer and I'm like struggling because I keep having the AI build, just execute on something and it's not really building what I want. And maybe I do need to have like these documents and but if you know what a database schema is, like you're probably like way ahead of the curve.
Your app communication.
And then APIs, like that's like another one. I think we talked about that. Someone mentioned that. Someone asked that question like a couple days ago or yesterday. But yeah, I would just let the AI just handle all of this, at least at the beginning, like just to like build your idea and have it in your hands.
Okay, with APIs, all of that jazz.
Now you take all these documents.
All that jazz, just bro, listen, all that jazz. That's it. Just the schema and API, and then everything else. You figure it out.
And you add them to your prompt so that your AI knows exactly what to do.
Bonus tip, one of the best models to use right now for vibe coding is Claude Opus 4.5 or Gemini 3. Design, functionality, it gets everything right.
Another bonus tip,
I don't know about those model picks, but I wouldn't really. That's like a whole other conversation because there's like different kind of like models of cars. There's like different models of car of like AIs, right? There's like, you have your Honda manufacturer, maybe that's like Anthropic, they make Claude, or ChatGPT probably most famously, they're like Nissan. The company is like called OpenAI. They're like Nissan, and then they have their high-end cars, and then their low-end cars, and then they have like different little versions, like 8 years. So there's just like if you're like a car person, there's that many different types of models of models, I guess, or different versions of models, just like there's different models of cars. So that's like it's weird that they would get really specific with that. There's just like a whole that's just like a whole thing. But yeah, if it just depends, like whatever tool you're using, just like use like the latest and greatest. Like the only problems with using like these higher, more powerful models is they do use up more money. But depending like on what you're doing, you might need that extra horsepower, so to speak. But it's weird that they make that as if like, I feel like if you don't know anything, it's like very easy. It's like, okay, I'm gonna use Claude and use Opus 4.5 for like everything, and then you're like running up a bunch of money. It'll probably do the thing, but I don't know. I feel like and again, like I get they're doing like a short little video, but I guess it's like, who's this for? Like, because if you understand all of this, then I feel like you're already good on this video.
Security checklist doc before deploying so that your app is actually safe to use.
Now, this is how you.
So that is a good point. Like, again, like, I think these models are getting better and better. Like, these AIs are getting better and better on making sure apps are secure, but they're not perfect. But there's like also security. There's also privacy, like making sure there's like different privacy laws when you're building like websites, like especially like around children and like their information. So like that's like another concern. And then there's like another area of concern called scalability. So like what happens if like 1 million people start using your website? Like, is it gonna crash? And like those are like kind of like hard things to really, you would have to, I would like, I guess, ask the AI, like if you don't have like an engineer in your life like me, you can't, of course you could always come back to my live and ask the question on, should I be concerned about these things? But you could try just, going in ChatGPT or whatever AI tool you're using and be like, what would this do? How would this scale? Like, what's the scalability on this? Or is this app secure? And then it could try to give you an explanation. You could try Googling it. Again, I feel like I could come out with like a guide or something to like, here's like privacy, security, and, scalability things that you need to make sure that your AI tool is looking at, and how to like guard against that. Because those are like going to be your biggest problems.
Code. People are saying.
But that was a good video. All in all, I mean, again, it's just like the other one is maybe really good for them, but maybe as a beginner, explaining some of the words would be good. Okay, I think with that, we didn't get to YouTube. Maybe we'll do it again, depending on where my pain is at. But I definitely lasted a lot longer than I did before. So yeah, we're gonna pause it here. Again, my name is Alvin Makes Apps. I've been making apps for almost a decade. I think it's like 8 or 9 years right now. And yeah, I'm just here to like help educate the people and get people into making their ideas a reality, and hopefully maybe making some money too. Making some money would be great, especially in this economy. All right. I think tomorrow I will go live again. I did start earlier today because I do have a meeting in 1 minute that I have to leave for. But I think tomorrow I'll go live at the same time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right. Well, thank you so much. Please like the live, like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more information like this. I'm trying to grow my TikTok, Facebook, and my Instagram so I can go live there as well. All Alvin Makes Apps. So yeah, like, follow, subscribe, the usual stuff. All right. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.